Welcome.
Hello. So,
Welcome back. Welcome,
Tracy,
welcome.
are women liars? That is the question of the day.
Oh, I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, women are liars. And I don't mean that and we're going to discuss this obviously in this particular episode. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, like how, when you're raised liar, liar, pants on fire and all that sort of stuff, right? And how it's sort of meant to be derogatory and mean and like you should never lie. And I just think that we've been fed so many stories about things that I think we're a little confused
Yes. No, because
more than
again, not a personal
liars.
attack because we don't do personal attacks here. Your choices are your choices, and we don't know why you believe anything you believe. We're just saying our words aren't matching with our actions. And we've been really kind of digging into this with some things in the media and in our own personal lives. And we're just saying the math's not mathing on what we're doing.
Not at all. I mean, for starters, there's sort of a new term, let's call it, especially in the coaching world. So we don't know necessarily. There is this thing around decentering men, right? Like getting rid of the patriarchy, or at least if we can't get rid of it because we all have, like that yin and that yang in us,
Right.
at least not making it as whatever it is, right? And
Right.
so, you know, I don't know about you, but I see TikToks about, how we hate men or men are awful and this whole, choosing the bear over the men and, um, talking about bad dates and all of the SA that's going on. But, but we still put up with shit from men.
And
We still,
yes, very intolerable things, not little things. We're not talking about he left the toilet seat up things. We're talking about
yeah,
major issues that we put up with.
yeah, from bad mouthing us or I mean for, let's go to the absolute extreme and talk about the emotional and the physical
Yeah.
abuse and the monetary abuse and multiple baby daddies and
Yes.
all of this stuff. And while on one hand we say that we don't like it and we're gonna I don't know, either we're gonna stand up or we're not going to accept it again. I myself am guilty of having accepted it
Oh,
multiple
absolutely. Absolutely. And
times,
especially if you're an older woman, the chances of you having not done it at least once are
yeah,
very slim, very slim.
you
And,
know,
and you don't
eh,
even realize you're doing it until you maybe, sometimes you never realize you're doing it until you get
no,
out of it.
yes,
It's like it,
definitely getting out of it is what
yeah.
has sort of, I don't know, woken me up. Obviously, I can't speak to the hundreds of thousands of other women that are out there, but, I mean, we continue to put up with the bare minimum, let's call it, right? Like we
Really
still
do.
do the lion's share of the childcare. We still do the
Yes.
lion's share of the housework. We still, and a lot of women still go out and work full time, and somehow the guys get to go out and work full
Yeah.
time and come home and park their ass on the couch
Well,
and
no,
watch
and
TV
I don't know
or,
his name. I need to go back and find this guy's name. He has a TikTok channel and he does interviews with other men. It's clear you never see the other men, so you can only see the podcast host, but he always asks them why they think women's work at home is less valuable than what they do. And there are such a large portion, and these are young men, and not just our age, young men who believe that them going to work 8 hours a day outside the home is harder than a mother who stays at home with three kids and manages everything 24/7 even after he's home. They really believe that their work is harder, but we've also
yeah.
allowed them to believe that. We have to own our part in it because we can't change what we don't own.
Well, you've got a stat here too, right? That like 27% of women are on dating apps because while we say we're okay with being alone, that tells me that we actually
We're
really
not.
aren't. And again, this goes to our words not matching our
Yes.
actions, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's, I mean, are we really lying to ourselves, to the world
Yeah.
about not wanting, I mean, That's not right. We are lying to the world about saying that we don't want a man if the numbers of us on dating apps is
Almost
significant,
that that's
right? I
almost
mean,
a
like
third
that's,
of women. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a lot
right?
of women. And that's all ages. And I don't know about if you just go by TikToks alone, I would say the number of successful matings from dating apps is minuscule compared to the nightmares. Just it's one
Of
story after another.
of the people that I have met over the course of my lifetime, since dating apps became a thing, which I don't know, I think for me when I sort of became cognizant and aware of them would have been like in like the early 2000s, like 2008,
Right.
2009, maybe 2000, 2010, something like that. Um, yeah, I think it'd be about 2009. I know one person
Yeah.
who has had a
Yeah.
successful relationship.
Yeah.
One out of, I don't, I couldn't even count how
And
many women
like,
I've
yeah, I
met
mean,
or
I don't,
known.
there's very few women that maybe haven't popped on it at least once, even just to look around. But the numbers that had, and not just found a mate, a good quality mate where they didn't compromise and they didn't settle. Because I know a woman who did get married, but her choice still remains
Mm,
questionable to this day, but
which
she
then
didn't
I
want to
guess,
be alone. She did not want to
well,
be alone.
yeah, and I guess that comes back to, are we lying? Like we say we're okay with being alone, but are we really? Like, are we lying to ourselves about um, the fact that we don't want X or Y? Now,
Yeah.
let's preface this. It's okay to
Oh,
not want
absolutely.
to be alone. Like
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
okay to want a partner. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been single for a significant amount of time and well, my kid was going to be 11. I had one brief fling in 2020 and that's it. Um
Did you meet him online?
no, no, actually oddly enough it was an old friend's brother, younger
Oh,
brother.
okay.
We used to hang out when we were
Organic.
younger and just bumped into him.
Yeah.
Um, and we're in meeting rooms and I'm supposed to be talking. Um, anyway, um, I decided that I really am okay being alone.
Yeah.
Now, I get lonely,
Sure.
which I think is very, very different.
Yes.
And there are times when I wish I had, I don't even want to say significant other, but a partner of some kind
Somebody to go
where,
out to dinner
you
with, or yeah.
and maybe you can share some troubles with or
Yeah.
bounce ideas off of because I mean my girlfriends are amazing, the few that I have, but it's not quite the same as
It
having
is
that
different.
intimate
It's a different
relationship every once in a
dynamic.
while.
Sure.
However, given all the shit that's going on in the world these days, I am very content being
Yeah.
alone.
But again, there's
I
a difference
enjoy not
between
sharing
being
my
alone
space.
and being lonely. Those are completely two different dynamics. And you can be lonely is like you want to share something usually with somebody else. You feel that kind of alone, but lonely. But for me, alone is just I'm just doing my own thing. It's like, but that's where it comes in. You have to build a life that you love because then you're not going to get lonely nearly as often. Those moments are going to come like it's freaking Valentine's Day and all the stuff that comes up around that, and maybe even New
Which, let's
Year's
be honest,
Eve.
I mean that's a whole
That's a
industry unto
whole other
itself.
thing
I
that we'll
mean,
have to talk
we
about that
didn't.
in February. But yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like it comes back. We just women have to, if nothing else, be the match to the partner you do want. If you build your life and you love your life, then somebody that's not, they can't take that away from you if they leave. That's the thing is you
Yes.
have to build a life you love so that if anybody dies or if they just leave, your life doesn't crumble because you still love your
Well,
life, even
yeah,
if,
and I said this to one of my exes, and I might have even actually said it to a bunch of them, but it comes back to I think I was lying to myself, and it's taken me until recently to realize that I actually mean it now.
yeah,
And that is, I don't need a man. I might want
want
one.
one.
And I
That is
think there's
very
a very
different.
big difference in that, right?
Right.
And I think that's where some of the women are lying to themselves, where they say they don't need a man, but then you've got Reddit thread after
But they
Reddit
feel
thread after
incomplete.
Reddit
They
thread.
feel like they haven't been like they're unwanted. They feel undeserving. All these things because they weren't. selected. They weren't good enough to, and
Yeah,
that's something society does that either tells women they can't get or they can't keep a man. That's a way they find a way to box you in and make you
which
feel
then brings
less
us,
than.
which then also brings us to some of our other stats that we've got, right? Is like where we spend our money, right? I mean,
Yes.
cosmetics and makeup is a $335
Billion.
billion
It's,
industry. Cosmetic surgery and medicals or med spas, right? Like $99 billion. Weight loss, $300 billion. I mean, it's
those are
all of these
insane
things
numbers.
where, yeah, and I think that comes down to, well, I don't need X, I don't need Y. I'm comfortable here. I look good there. And it's like, do you really believe that? If these are the numbers that we're looking at, do we really believe
Do
that we are
you? And
okay
yes,
in our bodies? And I think that we'd like to think that we are.
yeah,
And, but I should say, but the industry, society, social media, everything sort of rams it down our throats
yes,
that if we're not X or Y, then we're not okay. And to say that we don't take that on in some way, I think we'd be lying to ourselves,
absolutely.
like as a whole, like just for me, right? Like if I
Right.
was to say that, having this doesn't bother me, or I'd rather not be wearing glasses because I prefer what I look like without them, like it's all of these things, like my gray hair, and to say that sometimes that doesn't bother me, I'm kind of lying.
Yeah.
Where we need to stop the lying is we just need to get comfortable with it is what it is. It's genetics.
Yes.
I have bad eyes. Nothing I can do about that unless I want to do
Right.
LASIK and I really don't want a laser on my eyes. You know, um, Gray hair. I could color my hair, but honestly, I'm starting to sort of kind of like my little
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil gray hair that I got going on here. But it's taken a long time. I
Yeah.
mean, this isn't an overnight thing
But
that
do
we're
you
saying
think
for
you would have
women.
gotten there if you were still actively pursuing finding a man? Like, really? See, that's like, it's like when you got comfortable being alone, it becomes much easier to be yourself because then if
Yeah,
you find one, great. But it's when we're in that active pursuit of, I really want to find someone to date. Where are all the good men that you're still trying to make yourself palatable? Because I know I've done that. It's almost like the divorce
yeah,
diet. You know what they call the divorce diet? You get a divorce and all of a sudden you lose 20 pounds. And some of it's because you're just
stress.
recovering, but some of it is psychological because you have to give yourself back out into the marketplace, which I hate that term, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It's like
You
we're like
know,
livestock, at an auction somewhere, trying to see if somebody, wants to partner up with you.
yeah, the hair, maybe I wouldn't be so worried about just because, again, it's something I have no control over other than coloring it, right?
Right.
Losing weight. I have always struggled with that. I'm not a big girl. I've never been a big girl. I'm at my heaviest weight now, but weight for some reason has always been a thing with me. I've always thought that thinner was better, just in my own mind, and I'm sure maybe
Right.
some of that was media, the magazines that we
Sure.
would read growing up, because there was no social media back then. Um, so yes, I probably would be a little more self-conscious about my curves,
Yeah.
the rolls, all of that stuff if I was still actively thinking I needed a man or had to have a man around. Now, part of the reason I sometimes flip to need is because I'm a single mom
Oh,
and having a male role model for my
is very,
son is
yeah.
sometimes where my head goes. But uh Yeah, it's more of a want now, and I can definitely say that not being active on a dating app or anything um, has probably helped
Yeah.
become a little more comfortable with the body that I have. Every once in a while, I might be like, oh, something's not fitting right, but
Yeah.
you
But
know,
you don't think about it when you have to start dating or you're planning to start dating, it's almost like you're going to be in competition with so many other women. And even though you may not consciously think of it,
and
you
younger.
know that that is a thing because that's what happens, which is going to be in a later episode, is the women versus women in every aspect of our lives. It's like we don't get to just stand alone. We're always in competition or pitted against another woman. Well, I can find 10 more that are better than you. I mean, you can see the dating reviews and even celebrities who have so much beauty they don't know what to do with all of it. They've got all this money and yet they still put up with this nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
I
which
guess a
they, yeah,
question.
Yeah, it's just
So,
it's like we need to be honest with ourselves because we can't change it till we acknowledge it to say, you know what? Yeah, we're still doing it to ourselves.
yeah. So one of the questions is we have a couple of other topics, but what I would like while we're talking for other people to think about, women to think about, so that we can have a conversation about this is, um, you know, do you really believe that being single is a curse? And I only say that
Yeah.
because that's sort of the mentality that you and I
Right.
grew up
Yeah,
with
you're
in
going to
like
be
the
old
80s and the
and an
90s,
old
right? Is
cat
like,
lady and all these different things, and you're so old nobody wants you. So therefore, you just appreciate whatever you end up with because you could be with nothing. Like
yeah.
anything's better
So
than nothing.
So, do you really believe that being single is a curse? Are you truly okay with being
Mm.
single if that is the way that life kind of sends you or the paths that you have
Yeah.
taken? Or are you lying to yourself and saying you're okay with being single, but secretly you're on all the dating apps
Yeah.
or you're,
Yeah.
you know, going on these horrible dates and thinking, well, maybe I could change him
Or
because,
you keep
girl, that
giving,
is the
yeah, you
death
keep
knell of
giving
any
somebody,
relationship.
you keep like there's that Dolly Day who does the big TikTok channel for women over 50 dating. It's like she's very hardcore. She has a set of standards, and if you cross whatever system she has set up for herself, she just cuts you off and blocks you. No guilt whatsoever. But so many women, we will, even in the texting phase, we put up with so much stuff. And it's like, are
Yeah.
you willing? Do you cut it when you know the minute you know this conversation is not for you? Do you cut it off without guilt? Or do you still feel
Hmm.
bad for wanting to reject this man, which is a whole different subject in itself that we're not
Yeah.
allowed to reject men? Or if
So,
we do, we have
do
to walk on little eggshells around to say it, preserve their ego, even though they might have said something extremely vile to you. And that happens daily, you know,
yes.
or the
Yeah.
incessant sending of genital pics to women, which we still have never figured out why men think women want those for the most part. But that it
I've
happens
never
all the
understood.
time, every day.
Yeah.
And women will not, and they're offended, but they won't stop the conversation with the man.
Yeah. And that's what I find kind of interesting to me. And I'm guilty of it. I have a tendency to ignore it now if it was to happen.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened unsolicited recently. Obviously, being in the relation the
Yeah,
fling
you
or
get more stuff.
whatever, it
Yeah,
would
that's
happen and it's
different.
sort
Yeah.
of solicited, right? But even then sometimes I would ignore it because I was just like, really, dude?
Really? Yeah. Timing, dude. Timing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, is it is it harder to be alone, to be single, or is that just
Is that a story
something that
you
we've been
bought
fed?
into?
Now, from an economic standpoint, yes, it
Yes.
is going to be more difficult depending on where
Yeah.
in the world that you live, right?
I'll say, and that's also
But
sometimes because there's sometimes women, even in that, they're paying a lot of the bills and he's still
true.
not helping. He still doesn't do his part around the house or he still treats you like crap. But you're
Yeah.
always trying to give him a second chance, always trying to give him an opportunity to redeem himself when he feels nothing is needed to be redeemed. Like there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Yeah.
falls under if they wanted to change, they would. If they're not changing, they don't see anything that needs to be changed. And we don't want to acknowledge that. Like they don't see a lot of them, not all men, there's our disclaimer. They don't see anything wrong with the way they're conducting themselves, which is why they keep doing it.
Well, I think what it really boils down to is if you're putting up with this crap, there's two options. You leave,
Yeah.
or we collectively need to learn to stand up for ourselves
Yes.
better
Yes.
with the proviso that we are okay if by standing up
Yes.
they leave.
Yeah. Did you see?
And I think
Did you
and
see the
that's why
Miss
we
America
don't.
thing in Thailand last night? I don't know if you saw that video
No.
on TikTok. All the Miss Universe contestants were there in Thailand, or yeah, I think I don't know if it was Miss America or Miss Universe. Anyway, a room full of women. It was like a sashing thing. They were in their evening gowns. They had their sashes on, and there was a man that was a director of this division of the pageant in Thailand. that called Miss Mexico, told her she was dumb because they had told them to do these public broadcast kind of things, and she said she needed to check with her Mexican director first before she put anything out on social media, and he called her dumb and told her she just needed to shut up. He started to have security guards escort her out for talking back to him, and the whole room got up and walked out. Every one of these women stood up with her because Miss Mexico packed her stuff, and she's like, no, no, I'm no. And the actually reigning Miss Universe walked out with her. It was freaking fabulous. But that's what we're talking about
That's
collectively.
that is what we need to start doing, is we need to start standing in our truths. Now,
Yeah,
given the way that society is right now, I firmly believe, and I say this with a certain level of conviction because I was there,
right.
we don't know what our truths are
We don't.
because we've been lied to so many times. And it's, yeah, it's frustrating. Sometimes I can't get the words out.
No, sometimes our
Um,
beliefs, we don't know why we believe what we believe about men and relationships because we have been sold this package for our entire lives. Well,
mhm,
the boys will be boys and women just overlook things. And, if you're upset about something, that women always accuse themselves first. If they get upset, you start self-reflecting first. What did I do to cause that reaction? We always go to the mirror first, whereas typically men go to us. They point
mhm,
at us and we're pointing at the woman in the mirror. And so we
yeah.
don't know. We don't know who we are
And
without
that's
the influence of men.
And that's where you and I, come in with this YouTube channel
Yeah.
and our membership. And, because we, as older women,
Yeah.
wise women, we like to think, we're trying to set a better example with
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the hardships that we've had to endure, right? So, you know, we we want to offer solutions to help with this. We want women to start being more honest with
Right.
themselves. And if they can't be, that's what our sort of community is for, right? Is they can
Right.
come in and they can, we like to think of it as no judgment, all emotions, all thoughts welcome. Like,
Yeah.
come be your messy, magical self, come be as raw and real as you need to be, you know. But it starts with us and us collectively. Women need to decide what they want,
Yes.
what they're going to believe, what lies have they been told that they no longer want anything to do with, um, and then figure out what your values and your standards and boundaries are, because that's another thing that we've got to I
Yes.
think we
That's
did
a
do a YouTube
whole
on it already, is
thing.
boundaries, right? Like, we are not taught boundaries because we're supposed to be able to do it all. And learning that discernment and listening to your gut, your intuition, to stop second guessing yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if what he's doing is awful, believe it.
And the fact is, you do know, your body knows when someone has crossed a boundary. Your brain may not let you recognize it, but you feel that twist in your stomach or your heart constricts. There's some part of your body that is reacting to what that person is doing. You've just been taught to gloss over it as being too emotional, too
Or
sensitive,
stuff it down.
or stuff it down until one day someone spills water on the counter and you explode, because you're not going to stuff it down forever. It's going to come out somewhere.
I don't think you can physiologically stuff it down
Yeah.
forever. It will come out in some way. You will explode. It will come out in sickness. It will,
Yes.
like, there's
Your
all sorts
eating
of,
habits, you will start eating things that you don't even really enjoy, but it's comfort food. Well, why do you need comfort food? Something you probably haven't dealt with. And there's not a woman on the planet that hasn't done that. I don't know if there's a woman that doesn't know how to emotional stress eat, because that was our only outlet.
I stress non-eat. I starve
Really?
myself.
Well, see, that's two sides of the same coin, though. It comes back to, it's like there was a whole thing they were, I saw it, I think it was on Instagram. A person was doing a study on the nature of dieting in Christianity. It was about religion, how that there
Mm,
was a period of time where women literally, because they were taught it was virtuous to not eat and have control over their sinful flesh, they literally starved themselves to death. It actually has a medical, other than anorexia, it had like another name with it. that it was, but it
Oh,
was considered
interesting.
virtuous, that these women were like just, put on a pedestal because look at the sacrifice they made to crucify their flesh, their bad, sinful,
Interesting.
and they hadn't done anything
Hmm.
wrong. It wasn't like they were bad women. They weren't doing anything. It's just they wanted to be more virtuous, and by the only way they knew to do that, according to
Was to
their
stop eating.
teaching, was stop eating. And
Interesting.
they, like, I think there was like,
Interesting.
I want to say they said like 27 women literally starved themselves to death in one period, all under
See, and so
that
these are all the
umbrella.
lies that see, and these are like all of the lies that we've been
Yes.
sold that we don't even know.
We don't
Like
even
they're just
know.
so
Yeah.
ingrained in society and in us that, I mean, you and I have been going down this rabbit hole, right? And we probably won't get into it now because we could go down an entirely other rabbit hole and talk for hours and hours and hours. So we'll do another part to this. But like the shaving industry,
Yes.
right? And makeup and I mean, the list is endless of
Well, especially
all
when
of
you,
the
yeah,
things that we've been
yes,
sold as normal and beautiful
yes. And yes,
and we don't
why do you
even,
think it's beautiful? Because most people don't question why they believe women are prettier with long hair. Why do you believe women are prettier with long hair? We can tell you we know why it is because we've had to do the work on this, but it's not because you necessarily were born believing long hair was this beautiful thing on every woman, because it's not. But there's a
yeah,
lot of men who believe that. And
yes,
you could apply that to anything. It's just
yeah,
we want women to become aware of what they're thinking, what they believe, and why they believe it, so they can find who they are underneath all the masks and
yes.
the different ways we're conditioned to show up. Because,
And understanding that again, it comes back to this decentering men piece,
yeah,
right? That a lot of this stuff has been because men have said it must be so, and
yeah.
thus it is. I mean, like, again, another rabbit hole. Victoria's Secret.
Which is
It's a
owned by
man.
a man. The
I
company
didn't
is,
know that.
it was started and owned by a man, and I had a Victoria's Secret credit card, girl. I was the queen of freaking Victoria's Secret for years. And the day I found out a man owned that, I was so angry. And then you realize, well, that's why they sell the type of lingerie they sell, because their stuff wasn't comfortable. There was nothing
No,
comfortable about Victoria's Secret lingerie at all. And you're like,
no.
oh, okay, now it all makes sense. But because
Yeah.
you don't know
So,
what you don't know.
what we want to do is we just want to start the conversation.
Yes.
And I know we probably haven't said this, but like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. And let's start a conversation, right? Like, be honest with yourself. And we would love to know, like, kind of if there were any takeaways from this, what sort of um, lies you've been told that you're kind of like, holy shit, right? And
Yeah.
what is it that you maybe want to rejig, rebelieve?
Yeah.
Like
Like if you had
what?
a beauty habit and it irritates you to have to do it, like we're talking about the shaving thing, 'cause that was a whole different thing. It's like a lot of women prefer shaved legs. It's something we have become accustomed to, but why do we think that
Yeah,
actually looks and feels better? Because that's what we've been taught, which was a whole marketing plan by Gillette, by the way. I actually didn't go down that rabbit hole till recently, and I realized because their sales were slacking. So they turned it on women, and now we probably spend more on razors than men do, all because of a
yeah, and things like
marketing
makeup,
campaign.
and things like makeup. Like I know there's a lot of women, Pam Anderson being kind of a very prime example, who is sort of ditching the makeup because she used to have to spend so much time in the makeup chair and
Yeah.
getting her hair done and everything. And so she's sort of an extreme example here
Yes.
because like none of us spend as much time in the makeup chair or the hair chair at the salon as she does, but or did. Um, but why? Why do we think now? I love makeup. I only
Mhm.
wear eye makeup. I don't really wear anything else. My skin just doesn't like it. So it's something that I've accepted, even though I used to love a full face. Um, but why do we like it? And why,
Yes.
if women don't wear it, again, going to Pam, do we feel the need to tell her that she looks older than she is,
Yeah.
or that you would look prettier if, or
Yeah.
like, who are we to say that? And again, it goes to the cosmetics and makeup being a $335 billion industry. And so obviously they're going to try and sell us this stuff to look different. But why do we want to look different?
Yeah.
Why do we want to see, I like experimenting with colors.
Yeah,
I
it's
grew up in the
fun. Yeah,
80s
make it
where we had all the
fun.
fluorescents and all these bright colors,
Yeah.
and I still love that. So for me, it's fun. I can tell you that I do personally like what I
Yes.
feel like, look like when I have a bit of makeup on. And that's my personal preference. And I
Right.
know that. I will go out in public without makeup on because there are some days where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it today.
Right.
But I do know that I love playing with colors and I love having a little bit of fun with different eye shapes and that sort of thing. But that's my value, my standard, my
Yeah.
boundary, right? And so it's just, we want women to start seeing why they're doing things.
Right.
And if, as you say, it feels like a chore or it doesn't make you feel good or whatever else, maybe stop doing it.
Stop
Or
and
at the
question
very
why you're doing
least,
it. Yeah.
why am I doing it?
Why am
And
I
maybe
doing
I
it?
could stop doing this and replace it with something else.
Yeah. Because, I was actually looking also, they said on the average, women spend 50 to $100 preparing for any date, especially with a new person.
Oh my
And that's
goodness.
average. There's one, it goes up to like 150% of dollars for like the very few percentage, but the average, which is true, you go get a manicure, you get a pedicure, maybe you get your hair cut or just a blowout. Maybe you get a waxing done. Maybe you have get your eyelashes done. It's like, how much of that are you doing because you really want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And how much are you doing because it's expected of you, or you think it's going to, put you ahead of the game, like a job interview, something that's trying to set
Yeah.
you apart instead of just standing strong in, I know who I am. I know what value I bring to the table just by existing. I don't have anything to prove to you to get your acceptance or for you to pick me, which is our worst four-letter word. It's like,
Yeah.
we
Pick
have to be
me.
honest.
Pick
Are we
me.
trying to be picked still? Or are we
Validated.
existing in our own energy and just saying the right person is going to recognize my value? I don't have to go in front of a judge and plead my case why I should be selected as your significant other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not just that, but well, and this will be another episode, so we'll just maybe leave it off with this. Why do women feel the need to pick and poke and
Yes,
like I
we
feel like
are.
sometimes we are our own worst enemies. It's not just all the lies that we've been sold
No, that's the thing.
internally,
We have to own
but
it. We,
because we've been sold these lies,
yes,
other women seem to feel the
yeah,
need or the right. And it's a social media thing. Let's be honest. I
it
don't
is. It's a
think it was
terrible
really
social
as
media.
much of a thing when we were growing up because, of course, it
Yeah.
had to be done to your face.
Yes.
Um, Women feel the need to
Yeah.
poke and prod and validate and
And
why
it
should
doesn't
he
matter.
pick
It's like
you?
there's no one certain thing. It's like you still, yeah, it could be too skinny, too overweight, too tall, too short, big boobs, small boobs, you're this, you're that. It's like you can't win, even with women. And we have encountered that. And all the women, if you're online, you're going to run into it. And so I think it's like, how does that make you feel? It's like, if we could get women talking, that's really the thing is like, we need to have that community where we can talk to each other. And even if our beliefs are suck, or we're one of those women who've picked other women apart. I have done it in my past. I have been guilty of that. And we can own it, but then we
If
can
you say you
speak it.
haven't, you're lying.
Exactly, As there used to be a thing that said 99% of all men masturbate and the other 1% lie.
We could say that about women
Yeah,
picking
that's the
other
same
women
thing.
and
If
their
we
looks
say
apart.
we haven't really come down hard on another woman, we are almost 100% lying, unless I don't know who that would be. It's like we just need to own it and realize because sometimes we do it habitually. We don't realize we're doing it. And sometimes we dogpile when someone says, they point out something and you might even agree with what they pointed out in your opinion, but you could just keep it to yourself, but you
But we
don't.
don't.
You get that little keyboard and you start typing and telling some woman. I mean, how many women have we seen on TikTok bawling their eyes out because of what some stranger said to them and they took it to heart?
Yeah.
And
And
one,
that's why we believe in community.
in
We
community,
want women,
exactly.
I mean, part of our community that I personally would like to see with women coming in is that we can start learning, and yes, learn how to agree to disagree again.
Agree.
I
Yeah,
feel like we've lost that.
we
And
have.
I think that that needs to almost be like a tenet of our community
Right.
is that we have to be willing to learn how to agree to disagree because we haven't come across it yet. But I'm certain that in this partnership at some point, there is going to be something that you believe and
Sure.
I don't, and vice versa. And we need to figure out how to be like, okay, that doesn't work for me, and here's why.
Right.
But
And keep it, yeah,
and
about the thing and not a personal attack. You can disagree with someone and not tell them they're a horrible human being. You
well,
know?
it isn't, their beliefs may not impact you in any way, so why should it bother you?
Yeah.
And we've lost that in this keyboard warrior world. So got a little off topic there, but yes,
Yeah.
I think we need to start being honest with ourselves collectively as to why we say one thing, but then constantly do another, whether that's makeup, whether that's weight loss, whether that's men, whether like whatever it is.
Right.
And that's why we started this out with women are liars,
Yes.
because we do believe that through no fault of our own, maybe some fault of our own, we have been led to believe one thing, but that's not always true.
Right. Absolutely. And the community we're looking for is not even just one group of women. We started out with that, but then we realized that there's a lot of younger women that don't have anybody to talk to about what they're going through. So why, of course they're going to make the same mistakes we did because no one's teaching them any different. And that's our responsibility. We dropped the ball on that because even generationally we've been pitted against each other. Gen X and millennials and the alphas and the boomers, like even in that, we're infighting. And some of it's funny, it's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Oh, some of it's
Some
absolutely
of
hilarious.
people take it very
However,
seriously. Like they use it as a judgment. Well, you're this or you're that because you're of this generation. And like we're trying to blur those lines a little bit because we're still women. That at the end of the day, we're
yeah, it
still
needs to
women.
become less about the your boomer, your Gen X, your Gen Z, your millennial, whatever, and it needs to be more about women helping
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
And that's another lie. Maybe we need to dive down that rabbit hole a little bit later too, because again, we could talk forever. We say we're all about women. We say
Yeah.
that we want to help others, but then we don't,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
in our coaching world, we hear about sisterhood and community and all of these things. But then when you get into it, you realize they're for each other. Like I'm for
Right.
me, you're for you, she's for her,
Yeah.
and what you and I are trying to bridge is that when we say community, we actually really mean it. Like
Mean
we
it.
want you to come into this
Right. And we know
community
it's going to be
and
messy.
we want you to find your people,
Yeah.
regardless of how fun, ugly, messy, um, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Like find your people. And even if you can't find your people, like ride or dies, as they call them, as they say, at least you've got a community of women who might have your back for some reason,
Right.
because I don't think North America has ever had that, like, say, the Africans have had it, right? Like, they have
Right.
their tribes and the women rule the tribes and that sort of thing. And so we're kind of thinking, like, along those lines of coming. Tribe is a bit, I don't really like that word because
Yeah.
we aren't a tribe. Over there it
Yeah.
is, but here we're not. But just a community of women that if you're having an issue with your kid or you're having an issue with your husband, there is literally no judgment. And if you
Yeah.
feel like there's judgment, you come to Dawn or I, and then we, as the moderators, take it on and say, hey,
Right.
what's going on? Maybe, you felt a little whatever by this, and can we not? And, you know, we really do want women to start coming together, old, young,
Yeah.
in the middle, so that we can all
Yes. Well, I look
learn
at
from
it
each other's
like in
experiences.
the animal kingdom, elephants are known for that. The matriarchs in the elephant communities, like they teach the younger ones how to step into that role as they grow older, because obviously we're all not going to be here forever. And so if we want women's lives to look different moving forward after we're even gone, we need to start interacting with them now and not just
Yes.
telling them they're wrong or they're young, dumb, and stupid because they're 20 years younger than us. Because we
Yeah.
were that at one time. And if we had had women doing that for us, how different might the world look for women as a whole?
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the younger generation is a whole other breed. They're not as dumb and maybe clueless as
Yes.
we were. Like the generations have evolved. And I'm noticing that my child, yes, he's a boy, so he sees things differently, but he's got some smarts that I don't think I ever
No, they're
had.
very much more aware.
You
Oh my
know,
goodness,
and
yes.
so even having them come in to be able to talk to us about stuff that we can't understand because we're not their age, right? Like
Right.
I think it's collectively across the
Yes.
board we can all learn from each other, and I think we need to be more open to that. Not just we're older, we've got more wisdom than you. I don't think that flies anymore.
Yeah. And in some ways that we have more maturity because we've been around the block a few hundred more times, but the younger women are bringing a fresh viewpoint on things that we've never, because that the world we grew up in doesn't exist anymore. Like literally doesn't
Well,
exist.
and so what I would be curious about is either to revisit this YouTube in a year or two's time,
Mm,
or at the very least, some of the numbers, because I wonder if things like the cosmetic surgery and the weight loss and the just cosmetics and makeup in general, does that go down or does it go up?
that would be interesting. We should put a footnote in that somewhere to go back and check on our calendar a year from now and check those
Yeah.
numbers, just to see where
Just
it is.
because of the younger ones coming up, if they are,
Yeah.
if, you know, having those different smarts and or is it getting worse because they are trying to keep up with the Joneses from
Right.
social media, right? So it's something I would be really curious about.
No, it would be absolutely. But we want to hear, this is our whole point. Is we want to hear from the women out there. We want to know like what things are you doing that you actually don't enjoy doing, but yet you keep doing them. You're spending your hard-earned money on them. What things would you change if you could? And just own it. It's like, are you okay being alone? Really? Are you really okay being alone? And we're not asking you if you're lonely because, again, those are two different things. One's easily solved by going out and creating a life. It takes us time, but you can do it. Another one is, I can live a solo life unpartnered and still have a fabulous life. And if the right guy comes along, fabulous, or partner, whoever it is you're looking for, be open to that, but you don't have to have it. The need versus want. It's a very different energy that we're putting off.
Are
But
you lying to yourself or
yeah,
are you
are
being
we lying
truthful?
to ourselves about all of it just to not get judged for not having someone, saying, I don't
Yeah.
care if I have a man, when in fact, internally, you feel like crap.
Yes.
Sometimes that's hard to
Or
make.
vice versa. I have a
Yes.
partner, but I really wish I was alone.
Yeah. There's just as many of those, I think, if not more in some ways. Yeah. We'll get into the gray divorce later, but yeah.
Yeah.
But also just know it also, like I said, we have a community and it is absolutely free to start. It is just we're trying to build a community of diverse women, all ages, all cultures, all everything, because that's the only way we're going to grow. And it's the only way we're going to learn. It's the only way we're going to take back any of our own personal power is if we come together. It's not going to happen if we're fighting each other all the time. It's just,
Businesses aren't built alone. Communities aren't
no.
built alone.
And we know that women, we function so much better when we have a community, even if it's only two or three other women. We are so much, our mental state is so much better when we have those support systems in place. And we know that there are thousands, if not millions of women who don't have that. In this
Yeah.
online world, we're getting so isolated. So we're just taking that, and our community is virtual, but the way it's set up is you can interact with people every single day, whatever feels comfortable for you. It's
Well,
available
and what
here.
would be amazing is coming into the community, if you do find someone that is in your
Yes.
neighborhood that you didn't realize was
Yeah.
in your neighborhood, and now all of
Yeah.
a sudden you've potentially got an in-person person that
Yes.
you can see, right? So yes, that is our thing. So again, lastly, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Maybe come and check out the community, see what you think. We will be putting some fun stuff in there. We're still fine
We're
tuning
still
it all,
building
but
it
you know,
out.
we're going
Yeah,
to have
we
themed
are.
months. We're going to have little games. We're
Yes.
going to have, you know, like maybe a girls' night, virtual girls' night, you know, all these things. We're going to try and make it fun to build that community spirit. So
And
onwards and
next
upwards,
week
we've got
we're gonna,
lots of topics like this to cover, and we'll do that in the next one.
yes, next one is going to be the women versus women. We're going to talk about our sisterhood and why women are so busy tearing each other down for no reason, just because we can.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Well,
All
we will see
right.
everyone next time. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you guys on the other
On
side.
the interwebs. All right.